If there is one thing that I can say improved my communication skills by, I don't know, 100%, I would say that is teaching. And the good news here, and why I'm sharing this with you, is that in order to teach, you don't actually need a classroom or students. Because every time you are explaining your work, every time you are explaining, making sense of your work to others, you are actually teaching. Whether you are explaining your work to your grandma, whether you are preparing for a conference talk and speaking at a conference, or you are just talking to some colleagues, peers that are maybe a little bit outside of your field. And I wanted to do this video about this specific topic because I found it quite interesting that what happens with our brain when we have to teach, and why is it that we are improving our understanding of the topic just by teaching about it. And it all boils down, I think, to the same thing, and that is making sure that other people understand what we are trying to say and they actually remember it. And those two things are quite tied, I think, because we do not remember the things that we don't understand. I believe that I'm not an expert of neuroscience or anything, but I feel from my experience that we are actually not retaining information that we don't understand, or at least we are much less likely to retain it for in the long term when we do not really understand something. And I find this about about these teaching opportunities that we have in our lives quite interesting, because as I said, you can just explain if you want to sort of be better at communicating your work. One of the things that I always suggest my clients to do is to explain their work to their children, to their spouses, to their friends, or I don't know, to your grandma and so on, because those people really are the best students. Like, they are the best fake students you could have, because they really do not understand anything that you're saying. So you have to make this conscious effort of making sure that you are speaking at the level with no jargon at all, at a level that is understandable to them, and also that it makes sense to them. And it's interesting because, of course, they are not going to even listen to it if they do not find it interesting or curious or something they can really say, oh, look, this really makes sense. So with this video, I want to encourage you to search for those teaching opportunities that you have in your day-to-day life. And even though at the first look you might not find any, there are really many opportunities to do so. As I said, explain your work to your spouses, explain your work to your friends, to your colleagues. Maybe at the dinner when you're talking about something, you can make it funny. You can say, okay, use some metaphors and explain your work in these safe spaces that will then serve as sort of your first step for the next step, that would be a conference, a pitch, or even standing in a classroom and teaching students at some point. So if you're looking to improve your communication skills, the best vehicle to do so, from my experience, was teaching, because the other person is, what I like to say, helpless, right? They do not know anything about the things that you're saying. So it is absolutely 100% your responsibility to make sure that they understand what you're saying, especially when your work and your reward depends on what they understand, especially when you're, for example, applying for funding. Like, if the person who is reading your application doesn't understand what you actually do, the chances are pretty much zero that they are going to fund your project. So this is super important to make this shift of how I understand stuff and how able am I to explain that complex stuff to other people. And this is exactly what I help STEM professionals do. I help them find structure and explain all of those crazy complex projects that they have going on, so that they can express their amazing work that they're doing and then be rewarded accordingly, because STEM professionals deserve to be rewarded for their amazing work. And this is only happening when people actually see why your work matters, when people understand your work, and when people see what is the direct impact your work has on them. So having said that, I will leave a link down below where you can schedule a completely free intro coaching call with me, where you can sort of get a glimpse of how I work, what are my methods, how is it that I actually help STEM professionals, and how specifically I can help you with your challenge, with your project, and with your issue that you find right now in your career. So thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, see you in the next few days with another video. Bye bye.